In the heart of Moscow, under the shadow of history and the weight of symbolism, two men met who could reshape the global order. As Russian troops marched through Red Square to mark the 80th anniversary of their victory in World War II, the world watched the past come alive, but another quieter moment marked the future. There stood Ibrahim Traoré, the 36-year-old military leader of Burkina Faso, shaking hands with President Vladimir Putin in the Kremlin. The occasion was steeped in ceremony, but make no mistake, this was more than a diplomatic gesture. It was the clearest signal yet that Africa is shifting, realigning, and standing taller than ever on the global stage. For the millions across the continent and beyond who watched this moment unfold, it was not just about Burkina Faso or Russia. It was about sovereignty, technology, education, and the undeniable rise of new voices in world affairs. President Vladimir Putin welcomed Traoré with warmth and respect, calling his visit deeply symbolic. Putin reminded the world of Burkina Faso's historic role in fighting German fascism, with 30,000 of its sons joining the Free France movement during World War II. Now, decades later, a new war is being waged against terrorism, against dependency, and against global inequality. Putin outlined how Russia is supporting Burkina Faso in building a strong, self-reliant future. From counter-terrorism assistance to technology transfer, from food shipments to nuclear energy training, the Kremlin is making its intentions clear. Russia sees Africa not as a beneficiary, but as a partner. The revival of the Russian embassy in Ouagadougou, along with the expansion of education, health, and trade programs, shows a growing network of trust and exchange. Russian universities will host more Burkinabe students than ever before, and Ouagadougou's new Russia House is already teaching language, culture, and science to a new generation. And then came the words that stunned many. Speaking Russian before switching to his native language, Captain Ibrahim Traoré gave voice to a vision that resonated far beyond diplomatic formalities. He said, "Terrorism comes from imperialism. If we put an end to this war, if we have a strong army, we will be able to develop our homeland. That is what we see as the purpose of our struggle." This was not a speech. It was a declaration. Traoré asked for the one thing Africa has long been denied: access to knowledge and industrial know-how. He called for the opening of Russian university branches in Burkina Faso and emphasized the need for science, production, and technology to be rooted in the continent. He spoke not just for Burkina Faso, but for an entire generation of Africans. A generation tired of waiting, a generation ready to build. As Putin nodded in agreement, the moment felt less like a meeting and more like a message to the world. Africa will not remain on the sidelines. It will define its own future, through partnerships it chooses, on terms it demands. In this meeting, Putin and Traoré didn't just talk about defense or trade. They talked about rewriting the script of global influence, one that includes African youth, African innovation, and African sovereignty. Africa is changing fast. Follow us to stay ahead of the stories that matter.